Very good. Good morning. This is the July 17th, 2025 meeting of the Syracuse Regional Board of Review. This hearing is being held via web video conference call, WebEx, at the following locations: the Hughes State Office Building, main hearing room, first floor, 333 East Washington Street, Syracuse, New York, 13202. The time is 9:31, and this hearing is officially open. The members of the board are, to my left, C. Thomas Parsons, to my far left, Gail Swistak, and to my right, Andrew Garlock. My name is Jeff Hinderleiter, Chairman. From the Department of State is Hendrik Schenk, and joining us remotely is Tom DiTilio. We will now hear the scheduled petitions. When you speak, please address the board, give your name, title, and legal address so that our court reporter can have all the information requested. We may have to stop from time to time to consult with our technical staff. In making comments to the board, please provide a descriptive narrative on matters referring to your exhibits to enable the court reporter to enter these into the record. Our first hearing, we're going to take these out of order from the published agenda. So our first hearing is petition number 2025-0225 in the matter of Delta Engineers, Cara Upstate Shredding. We believe we have.
We're here.
Very good.
Good morning. My name is Anthony Paniccia, president of Delta Engineers, and the legal address is 860 Hooper Road, Endwell, New York 13760. And also with me is my architect, Galen.
Okay.
Galen Richmond, architect with Delta Engineers.
Could we have the gentleman's spell his name, please?
Didn't hear you, sir. I'm sorry.
Could you please spell your name?
Anthony Paniccia, Paniccia.
Gentleman, the other gentleman.
Your architect.
Galen, Galen.
Okay.
Richmond, Richmond.
Thank you.
Thank you. So upon the application of Delta Engineers, architects, and land surveyors, and upon taking testimony and hearing argument on a duly noticed hearing before the Syracuse Regional Board of Review, this hearing is held in person via video conference call, WebEx, at the following location: Hughes State Office Building, first floor, hearing room, 333 East Washington Street, Syracuse, New York, 13202, Thursday, July 17th, 2025. The nature of your grievance says a petition pertains to an existing building, occupancy group S1, type 2B construction, 1 story in height, contained approximately 45,771 square feet of gross floor area, located at 6 West Main Street in the village of Owego, County of Tioga, State of New York. You're seeking relief from 19 NYCRR Part 1221, 2020 Building Code of New York State, Section 1612.2.1, which states the design flood elevation specified in ASC 7 and ASC 24 shall be the design flood elevation determined in accordance with sections 1612.3 through 1612.3.1.1. You're requesting relief from the dry floodproofing requirements for an existing commercial storage building with a substantial improvement addition. Well, would you please explain your case and what you're looking for?
Yes, we wrote you a letter on February 24, 2025. The village of Owego has been working with all its residents to reduce the flood insurance premiums. There is one building that was constructed in 2010 that it was our client, Ben Weitzman of Owego, that does not meet that criteria. I guess when the building was built, and we were not the architect of record at this time in 2010, and the village allowed a building to be built in the floodplain without meeting the requirements of either dry proof or wet proof for the building. So in order to be in compliance and to get all the residents of the village of Owego to get a reduced premium of 30% in their flood insurance, our client has agreed to install flood vents in his property to be in compliance of when the building was constructed in 2010. In doing so, we provided drawings that will show the wet floodproofing, and we are asking for a variance for retroactive for the building that was built that was not in compliance, that was approved by the village, that shouldn't have been approved by the village. And the only way they can get this relief is for the state to agree that a variance should be required so that that variance could be submitted to the village of Owego as well as the county of Tioga, and also to the insurance carrier, that once the work is complete, that that building is now in compliance at how it should have been built in 2010. I hope that's a long story of getting to where we need to be.
Is the village, are they responsible for the administration of their floodplain, or is, so various municipalities have passed local laws where they are the administrative body. So is that the case for the village of Owego?
That is correct.
Who is their floodplain administrator?
Mick, what's Mick's last name?
Knapp.
Mick Knapp. I believe he's their code enforcer. He's been working with Hendricks from your office. He has supplied Hendricks with some documents that we didn't have from 2010, as well as 2 seekers that he was able to find.
Was he the officer in charge at the time of construction and permitting?
I don't know that answer, so I can't answer that for you. I guess he does not have the authority without the state giving us this variance. It's my understanding to say that our design works, even though we've worked with the New York State DEC and the design is in compliance now. According to all the calls I've had with him, we need a variance from New York State so that he can move forward with his process. We have received and gone to planning board sessions with Tioga County and the village, and this would be the last hurdle for them to get their compliance so that they can move forward with reducing the insurance premiums for all their residents.
I'll open it up to the board for other questions. And
This is Mr. Parsons. What's the elevation difference between the
5 feet.
5 feet? So looking at the operation and the contents of this building?
The building is a scrap yard, and if the flood vents were installed, there would be, since it's not like a hurricane or a tornado or an earthquake, which is unknown, you can tell when a flood is going to occur. They can remove all the material, so there would be no damage, and all the electric has been moved 5 foot above the floodplain already. So it would be, I'm going to say, minimal inconvenience to the owner of the building.
Okay, I understand that. My concern is that if the floodplain rises rapidly, which we've had several occasions this year already, where, excuse me, floodplain water level in the adjacent river rises rapidly at a rate faster than can be reacted to by the owner. Is there a hazard, or is there a risk of contaminants from within the building being taken downstream in the river?
I would say no, because right now there is a significant amount of scrap outside the building. And if a flood were to occur, that material is in the flood area anyways. This was at least contained in the building, and it would be, I don't see a difference personally, but I guess that's a question that the board would have to determine. Right now, it's in a industrial usage, and it's zoned properly for that area. So I don't see that as a concern, but that's just my professional opinion.
My comment is 2 wrongs don't make it right.
I understand.
Okay, so let's go with that premise. What other engineering features have you considered, not just on the building, but on the property, that could mitigate flooding on the site, and particularly the building?
We have not considered anything else other than the flood vents, because that's kind of the direction the town wanted us to move in order to move this forward. And that's what our owner agreed upon in moving forward.
I appreciate the interest of the village, because obviously insurance rates for the community are of concern. I'm concerned for adjacent municipalities who might suffer from contamination off this site going downstream. I'm just expressing my concerns.
I totally understand that, sir. I just don't have an answer for you. It's been a active site since, I believe, the year 2000. This question has never been asked of me, so I don't have an answer for you.
Okay. That's all I have.
One of the documents that was submitted is from the DEC, a seeker determination. And they did identify that it appears this site is a managed site. Is that correct?
That is correct, but that seeker that I believe you're looking at was the original from 2010. All we do is have a copy of that as you do. I think there was 2 seekers that were provided to Hendricks based on his conversations with Mick Knapp at the village. There is a managed site. They meet DEC, New York State DEC requirements. They do yearly inspections for their facility. So they've been in compliance the last 15 years.
Okay.
They are a regulated waste under the DEC, and I think he has 15 facilities in New York State, and they all get regular inspections.
Oh, Mr. Parsons again, are there any collection areas within the building for like any oil or fluids that leak out that get collected in a drain and then moved off to a holding tank? Are there any of those facility aspects of the facility there?
You said Mr. Parsons. I'm Mr. Panicia, and I don't know if that was directed toward me. So if it is,
Yes, Mr. Panicia.
To my knowledge, no, sir.
There are no holding tanks and no collection of oils or anything within the building is built?
Not within this building. I believe there's what you call as a fluid recovery building that when a car gets brought to the site, all the respective oils, transmission fluid, gas, all gets drained, and that goes through the proper collection, and that's regulated by the New York State DEC.
Do you find that as the engineer of record, the flood venting that you're proposing, I notice you're putting it in overhead doors. Is it sufficient to where, just so it's on the record, that the overhead doors are not going to collapse in the event of an interior flooding event?
That is correct, sir.
And you stated in your package, this building is just used for bulk metal disposal and operations. It's types of metals.
Yeah, mostly a truck pulls up that has what I'm going to call is any type of ferrous or non-ferrous metal. It gets unloaded, and their process is to usually not hold it more than a day or two, and then ship it to their large shredder operation. The material is not on site more than, I'm going to say 2 days, at least in theory. That's what their report says to New York State DEC. I have not been on site for a week to witness it, but I'm just telling you what is filed.
So there's no active industrial processing here in the sense there's no shredding equipment on site, no other heavy equipment except loaders, fork trucks, things of that nature that would be manipulating these materials.
That is correct. All their materials get sent to a 9,000 horsepower shredder at another facility in Owego.
Tell us, is the applicant available?
I could probably call him on his cell phone.
No, it's okay. We'll see if you can answer the question. You mentioned vehicle processing on the site. Does this building in question handle anything to do with the vehicle processing?
No.
So that it's abundantly clear in the record, the vehicle processing occurs at a separate facility, on the same site, but a separate facility.
I don't believe it's on the same site for this particular location.
Okay.
And I may stand corrected because this location is 2 miles from the shredder location. I'm pretty sure, and I haven't been to the site, sir, in honesty, in probably 2 years, that all the at all the other sites, there's a fluid recovery building. In this one, I'm pretty sure there's not a fluid recovery building because 2.5 miles away is the shredder, and that's where they have the fluid recovery building for the other ones. But if it is on site, which I don't recall at this time, it would be contained, and that would be in the DEC filing for that fluid recovery building. When we started this process, it was over 2.5 years ago, and we started the design. We went back and forth with the municipality, and then we were later found out there was the last part of this was to apply for this variance, and that's the letter that we sent to you in February. So it's been about 2.5 years, and I just haven't been on site in 2.5 years, so I can't honestly answer that question. And if you need me to get an answer, I can make a phone call. And maybe while you guys are looking at, I'm going to make that phone call.
I think it would be beneficial for our record to know if that's processed here or not. That would
Okay.
be helpful.
I'm going to put you on. I'm trying to call the client's operations individual right now. His name is Steve Carpinetta.
Good morning, Anthony.
Hey, Steve, I'm on a call with New York State Department of State in reference to the flood vents, and they have a question, and I don't know this answer. Out at the
Yes, sir.
second Owego site, not where you are at the shredder,
Main Street, correct? Yep.
in Main Street, do you have a fluid recovery building there, or is there no fluid recovery building on that site?
There is a fluid recovery building at that site. On the opposite side of the site is the warehouse in question where the flood vents are. It's over by the large drainage swale that runs along the other side of that facility.
And how many cars do you think are processed there a day?
I would say at the absolute maximum, you know, at our busiest day, probably 10 to 12 automobiles at that site. We are getting very, very few scrap vehicles these days.
Okay. Any other questions for this gentleman?
Yep, if he could please state his name, title, and legal address for the record.
Yes, sir. My name is Stephen Carpinetta. My title is Chief Operating Officer at Weitzman Recycling, and my residence address is 661 Glen Mary Drive, Owego, New York, 13827.
Do you process the scrap vehicles here other than fluid recovery? Are you crushing them? Are you storing them?
No, sir. Cars are evacuated of fluids and then sent to our shredder facility to be loaded into our automotive shredder.
We're looking at some pictures from the site, and we see looks like pallets or compartmentalized, maybe compacted metals. Are those, after a vehicle's been shredded, are processed materials such as a vehicle brought back here?
Unfortunately, I believe I'd have to see the photo in question, as I'm not very clearly understanding the question from what you said. I apologize.
Yeah,
No,
I think I can answer that question. All the materials are brought to the site with a 18-wheeler or a if they're crushed automobiles are already there, and then they all get shipped to the shredder for processing. So that would not be before the shredder. What you're seeing is before the shredder operation. Everything would be sent to the shredder after that operation. So it might just be collection of materials as the photo you're looking at.
Okay. We see on some site, Mr. Garlock has accessed readily available satellite imagery, such as Google Maps, and we see the site itself has looks like bins, exterior bins for storing material or bays. And your local floodplain administrator, DEC, those involved, find all of that to be compliant?
That is correct. The bins are to segregate the material, whether it's ferrous or non-ferrous, and then the non-ferrous is segregated into different streams such as copper, aluminum, etc. So everything that you see there, they do have New York State DEC approval, and that is, Steve, what is that monitored every 6 months by the DEC? I don't recall.
What is that?
Every site.
Stormwater, Anthony, or?
No, just your site in general, the hazardous waste, whether it's the oils or when does DEC come and do compliance? Once a year, once every 6 months?
Once a year. Yep, we do. We report that information to the state once a year. We usually do it toward the end of the calendar year.
Thank you, Steve. And I don't think you guys got Steve's last spelling of his name. So Steve, can you, for the record, tell him your last name?
Yes, it's Carpenetta, and I'll use the phonetic alphabet. C is in Charlie, A is in Alpha, R is in Romeo, E is in Papa, I is in Indigo, N is in Nancy, E is in Echo, T is in Tango, and A is in Alpha.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Anything else for me, guys?
Board members, any other?
When's the last time this site has flooded?
Steve, do you have any idea when the last time that site was flooded?
No, sir. I mean, I could say definitively with the last great flood event in Owego in 2011. I mean, that's the only knowledge I have offhand was that historic flood.
Right, that was a 500-year flood. That was everywhere in Broome County and Tioga County.
Yes.
Have you found that you notice that you have, likely it's a fence meant for screening for neighbors, a privacy fence, but also visual screening? Has that been an issue for managing the floodplain?
No, all their sites have vinyl slats because most of the municipalities, when they go in for to get a permit, they usually want either an 8-foot or 10-foot high fence, and they want vertical slats, and their color is blue. So most of the properties either have a wooden fence or a metal fence with vinyl slats. And that has not inhibited, it actually is deterred any sort of, what I'm gonna use the word is attractive nuisance for children to come over and jump over the fence, because most of the materials hidden underneath the 10-foot line. So they really don't know what is on that back side of that fence. So it's visually, aesthetically pleasing. It deters the attractive nuisance that could occur, and it allows for the client to operate with minimal impact on the community. Do you have any more questions for Steve?
Yes, I have one more.
Okay.
Does the site have a spill prevention containment SPPC plan enforced? Meaning, do you have any equipment on site that's over the threshold of 55 gallons that requires you to have spill response kits, et cetera, on site?
I apologize, guys. I'm actually out away from my desk, and I'm in a kind of a loud environment. Could you please repeat the question? I apologize.
The question is, do you have an SPCC compliance, and are there any drums greater than 55 gallons on this specific site?
We do have an SPCC plan, and all tanks are correctly labeled and registered, which qualify under certain thresholds to be registered and listed in our SPCC plan.
Are they compliant with the floodplain regulations, the floodplain elevations, so that in the event of a flood, those are properly contained on site too?
I don't have that information handy. That'd be a question I'd probably consult with Mr. Panicia on.
I wouldn't know that. That would be with Volmer or
Okay, with our environmental engineer.
with your environmental engineer.
This is more of to address, no, the matter before us is contending with the building. The question I'm asking essentially is, as part of your SPCC, if there are facilities in this building that we need to consider with the flood venting, meaning you have tanks, you have storage of materials and things that potentially are contaminants within the building. If the elements of your plan are related to the vehicle recovery facility and not this specific building, that changes because our variance, so we're looking at your building. So the reason I'm asking that is does this building have involvement in that plan?
No, this building does not have any tanks. There are tanks at the fluids recovery station on the other side of the facility. There are no drums over 55 gallons, or I believe any fluid stored in that whole building.
Okay. That's all I have for you.
it's a new steel sales center in the front, and then it's a finished goods, co-location in the back. So it's, boxed items of non-ferrous materials generally.
No waste.
No waste material?
No, sir.
Okay, if there are no other questions from the board, we can let you go.
Thank you, Steve.
My pleasure, guys. Thanks, and I'm available if you have any other questions. Have a good day.
Thank you. Board members, any other questions for the applicant? None? We don't have a representative from the town, village on?
I do not see Mick on the call.
Okay, then we are going to take a brief break to deliberate and have our discussion, and we will be back with our decision. So we can go off the record.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Before we move into our proposed motion, we do have a clarifying question for the applicant. Different terms and statements have been made about the types of materials. We've heard ferric and non-ferric, but we just heard new steel and finished product. Could we get some clarification as to what types of materials and things are going to be in this building? For instance, is it recycled? One of the questions that came up would be recycled appliance, electronic devices, some definition onto what's going to be there, because one of the conditions we are going to be putting here is the building is used solely for the storage of said materials. And we're trying to make sure we have a clear understanding of what is used within this building, but then so that we word it properly.
Okay, I'm gonna have to call Steve again. As I said, I haven't been to the site in 2.5 years.
Okay.
I know the applicant receives ferrous and non-ferrous, and then they segregate it. So let me contact Steve, and then we can repose the question.
Okay.
Forwarded. The person you're trying to reach is not available. At the tone, please record your message. When you have finished recording, you may hang up.
Hey, Steve, this is Anthony. Can you call me back ASAP? We got one more question. I'm gonna try Christina and see if she can find you. Christina's their secretary. Just let me try to contact her. Is that okay?
Understood. Yep.
Okay, just want to make sure.
Your call has been for.
Can I try one other individual I know there?
That's fine.
Okay.
Telephone number 3.
All right, I'm 0 for 3. Sorry.
That's okay. I think because our concern is just having a clear understanding of what could potentially end up there. If there's a say a storage bin filled with iPads and cell phones that are in process, because they're not processing here. And so let's say you have something of that nature that could have a high concentration of lithium ion batteries, or
They don't, to my understanding, they don't take that type of material. What they take are what I'm going to consider are white goods, appliances, and or aluminum, copper, steel, whether it's wire, whether it's commercial trade, HVAC, ductwork. They don't, to my understanding, I've been on their site. I've never seen anything that small on the microprocessing level. Theirs are all large scale industrial, commercial byproducts or residential home white goods.
That's fine.
Okay. I think we're.
I'm going to try Steve one more time. Just
Okay.
give him one more chance.
Have been forwarded to this mail. The person.
Sorry.
That's okay. I think we're likely, we have some proposed language we think covers it, but we wanted to try to clarify before we made a motion. All right, then without any further information, I would like to make the following motion. Upon the application of Delta engineers, architects, and land surveyors, and upon taking testimony and hearing argument thereon at a duly noticed hearing before the Syracuse Regional Board of Review. This hearing was held in person and via video conference call, WebEx, at the following location: at the Hughes State Office Building, first floor, main hearing room, 333 East Washington Street, Syracuse, New York, 13202, on Thursday, July 17th, 2025. And upon all other papers in this matter, the board makes the following determination. The petition pertains to an existing building, occupancy group S1, type 2B construction, non-combustible, unprotected, one-story in height, containing approximately 45,771 square feet of gross floor area, located at 6 West Main Street, Village of Owego, County of Tioga, State of New York. The petitioner is seeking relief from 19 NYCRR Part 1221, the 2020 Building Code of New York State, Section 1612.2.1, which states the design flood elevation, DFE, specified in ASCE 7 and ASCE 24 shall be the design flood elevation determined in accordance with sections 1612.3 through 1612.3.1.1. The petitioner is requesting relief from the dry floodproofing requirements for an existing commercial storage building with a, quote, substantial improvement, end quote, addition. The board makes the following findings of fact. 1, the subject of this petition pertains to an existing building, occupancy group S1, type 2B construction, non-combustible, unprotected, one-story in height, containing approximately 45,771 square feet of gross floor area, located at 6 West Main Street, Village of Owego, County of Tioga, State of New York. 2, a, quote, substantial improvement, unquote, addition consisting of approximately 27,986 square feet was constructed in 2012 and exceeded 50% of the market value of the existing 17,725 square foot building, which triggered the design flood elevation requirements for new construction. 3, the elevation of the ground floor of the subject addition ranges between 808.8 feet and 812.7 feet, which is below the base flood elevation of approximately 813 feet. 4, the petitioner is requesting a variance to allow the ground floor elevation to remain by installing the proposed flood vents as shown in Exhibit B. 5, the petitioner's exhibits state the scope of work to install the proposed flood vents has been approved by the Village of Owego's local zoning board with the assistance of FEMA and the New York State DEC. 6, the structure is proposed to be stabilized with new flood vents to allow for water to flow in and out of the building. 7, any equipment will be placed at least 2 feet above the base flood elevation. 8, modifying the first floor's elevation to the base flood elevation or base flood elevation plus 2 feet of freeboard would be unnecessary in light of the alternatives And 9, the petitioner states the Village of Owego is seeking a reduction in flood insurance premiums through the National Flood Insurance Program. The proposed variance, a conclusion of law, the proposed variance will not substantially adversely affect the law's provisions for health, safety, and security, and strict compliance would entail practical difficulties or would otherwise be unwarranted because such would be unnecessary in light of alternatives which, without a loss of level of safety, achieve the intended objective of the code. And yes, it would also be in light of a public policy. Don't have that language written here, but we'll add that in the final decision. In the public's best interest. Seeker determination, that the Board of Review find and determine that the issuance of a variance in petition 2025-0225 will not have a significant environmental impact and will not have a significant adverse effect on any significant fish or wildlife habitat, scenic resource of statewide significance, important agricultural land or area included in an approved local waterfront revitalization program. And 2, that the Department of State be authorized to sign and deliver on behalf of the Board of Review, the Department of State, A, the State Environmental and Quality Review Act short environmental assessment form, indicating that no or small impact may occur in response to each question in Part 2 of this form, and determining in Part 3 of this form that the proposed action will not result in any significant adverse environmental impacts. B, the New York State Department of State Coastal Management Program Coastal Assessment Form, and C, the certification of no significant coastal impact. At this, I believe, our point of order, we need a motion to be made on the seeker determination before we can make a final determination on the decision. So do we have a motion for the seeker determination?
I make a motion.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, we'll poll the board. Mr. Parsons?
Aye.
Ms. Swistak?
Aye.
Mr. Garlock?
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Please let the record show 4 ayes, no nays. Motion carried. So therefore, where it is determined that the application for a variance from 19 NYCRR Part 1221, the 2020 Building Code of New York State, Section 1612.2.1, referencing ASCE 24, version 2014, Section 2.3, be and is hereby proposed to be granted with the following conditions. 1, that the existing building and substantial improvement addition has flood vents installed in compliance with ASCE 24. 2, that the building be wet flood proofed in compliance with ASCE 24. 3, that the existing building and substantial improvement addition comply with the requirements of ASCE 24 in all respects except for the elevation requirements prescribed in Section 2.3. 4, that the building be adequately anchored to prevent flotation, collapse, and lateral movement resulting from hydrodynamic and hydrostatic loads, including the effects of buoyancy. 5, that all equipment be located to an elevation of at least 2 feet above the base flood elevation or design flood elevation, whichever is higher. 6, that the building be used solely for the storage of ferric and non-ferric metals and shall not be used to manufacture, process, handle, store, use, or dispose of such substances as hazardous fuels, hazardous chemicals, hazardous waste, batteries, or explosives. 7, that a variance or approval from other applicable governmental units such as DEC and FEMA be obtained prior to a building permit being issued. And am I at 8? I think I'm at 8. That all other aspects of the building construction will be in compliance with applicable codes, rules, and regulations. Do we have somebody who I made the motion but would like to second that motion?
I'll second.
Okay, we'll pull the board. Mr. Parsons?
Aye.
Ms. Swistak?
Aye.
Mr. Garlock?
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Let the record show 4 ayes, no nays. This decision is limited to the specific building and application before it as contained within this petition and should not be interpreted to give implied approval of any general plans or specifications presented in support of this application. Chairperson Jeffrey Hinderleiter, members Tom Parsons, Gail Swistak, and Andrew Garlock all concur, so ordered. Any questions? Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much.
The hearing on this matter is concluded.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We will now move on to our next hearing, petition number 2025-139, petitioner Anand Dhanraj. Moment.
Good morning, board.
0139, you said?
Yes. Morning. If you could introduce yourself, state your name, your title or your involvement, and your legal address.
My name is Dan Morelli of Morelli Design and Construction with an office located at 5159 Western Turnpike in the village of Altamont, New York, 12009. I'm representing Mr. Anand Dhanraj and his request for relief from New York State MRL Section 30, which requires cellar ceilings to be fire retarded or equipped with a sprinkler system, and New York State MRL Section 31, which requires cellar stairs to be fire retarded or equipped with a sprinkler system. Mr. Dhanraj owns a structure located at 814 Bridge Street in the city and county of Schenectady, state of New York, which is classified as an R2 occupancy with type 3B construction and a total gross floor area of 4,740 square feet, including an unfinished basement. The pre-existing multifamily residence is a 3-story structure with a full basement, currently has 3 residential dwelling units, one on the first floor, one on the second floor, and one on the third floor, and was constructed circa 1909. Each individual dwelling unit is finished with plaster drywall ceilings and currently have interconnected, hardwired, code-compliant combination smoke and carbon monoxide detectors at designated locations throughout the building, including common hallways, front and rear stairways, and one inside each dwelling unit. The building also has interconnected, hardwired, code-compliant smoke detectors inside each bedroom and multiple code-compliant means of egress as defined by the multi-residence law. All doors leading from common areas into each dwelling unit are currently not self-closing. However, the property owner agrees to install self-closing devices on all doors leading from common areas into each individual dwelling unit as required. There are currently hardwired emergency lights and illuminated exit signs at designated locations throughout the building. The full basement is unfinished and has no sprinkler system, but currently has multiple hardwired, interconnected, code-compliant smoke and carbon combo detectors at designated locations. There's currently one fire-rated door leading into the basement with no self-closing device. However, the property owner has agreed to install a self-closing device on this door as required. There are no laundry services, including washers and dryers, present on the premises. However, a gas-fired boiler is currently located in the basement, as well as gas stoves in each dwelling unit. The property owner agrees to hire an independent inspection agency to inspect the detection system on an annual basis and file an on-site report prior to contacting city codes for the required inspection. And as a footnote, the New York State Department of Social Services recently inspected the building and each individual dwelling unit and passed its inspection. So at this time, the applicant is seeking relief from New York State MRO Section 30 and Section 31 based on the following findings of fact. The structure has been inspected yearly in recent years for compliance with the 2020 New York State Building Code by City of Schenectady code enforcement officers for the issuance of rental certificates and currently meets the requirements for interconnected, hardwired, code-compliant smoke and carbon monoxide detectors throughout each floor of the building, including the basement, common hallways, common stairways, and one inside each dwelling unit. The property owner also recently purchased and agrees to install self-closing devices on all doors at required locations and hire an independent inspections agency to inspect the detection system on an annual basis. Installing a fire retardant ceiling in unfinished common areas of the pre-existing basement or installing a sprinkler system would create an excessive and unreasonable economic burden on the property owner and their tenants simply due to the high cost of performing these tasks, as well as the MEP obstructions currently present in the exposed portion of the basement ceiling above, therefore making the installation physically impracticable. The alternate measure to achieve the intended objective is the presence of interconnected, hardwired, code-compliant smoke and carbon monoxide detectors at designated locations throughout the building and a fire-rated door leading to the basement, both of which are currently present. and the homeowner, as stated prior to, the homeowner has purchased and agrees to install the self-closing devices as required. Based on the information provided in today's testimony, the applicant respectfully requests relief from Section 30 and Section 31. Are there any questions for me?
How many smoke alarms are interconnected?
All of them.
How many of them?
So there's 3 in the basement. There's 1 at the front and rear, each level of entry, and there's 1 in each apartment.
What's the total number?
3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11.
Okay. You're limited to 12. That's why I just want to make sure.
The applicant, it's become a practice of ours with this relief is that we try to bring, reduce the chance of fire loading in the basement in particular. And so it's a common practice of ours to put a condition that no tenant storage or laundry services or laundry equipment should be allowed in the unfinished basement. Is that understood?
It is, yes.
And there's none of that currently?
None of that currently, correct.
And the local code official, are you aware of their support or lack of support on the granting of this variance?
Yes, they're in support.
Any other questions from the board?
It appears to be a brick exterior
Correct.
building, is that correct? And is it brick on all sides or is that just on the facade?
No, 3 sides of the building are brick. The rear of the building is wood framed with siding.
Okay.
Okay. Then we will take a brief moment to deliberate, unless we think we're ready to. You want to read?
Yeah.
I don't think we need to deliberate on this one then. So we will see if we have a motion from the board.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to make the following motion in regard to petition 2025-0139. Upon the application of Anand Daraj, 883 Yorkston Street, Schenectady, New York, and upon taking testimony and hearing argument thereon at a duly noticed hearing before the Capital Region Syracuse Board of Review, also held via video conference call WebEx.
Excuse me, Mr. Parson. This is Tom DeTulla, Department of State. I believe we have to read the seeker declaration prior to making a motion as directed by legal for Department of State.
We didn't do that last case that way.
We did do that.
Oh, did?
in.
Before we made the determination, we read the findings and then we read that.
Correct, we read it.
So-
The nature of the agreements, findings, then we made seeker motion.
Right.
Determine the seeker.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we will just need to read the seeker motion.
Shank with Department of State. Thank you.
So what do you want to do? This different than the last one?
To be consistent, we'll go ahead and read your motion through the findings of fact.
Okay.
Then we will do the seeker motion in the midst like we did.
Yep.
And then continue on.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Also held via video teleconference call WebEx at the following location: Hughes State Office Building 333 East Washington Street, first floor, main hearing room, Syracuse, New York 13202. On July 17th, 2025, and upon all other papers in this matter, the board makes the following determination. Nature of grievance and relief sought. The petition pertains to an existing 3-story, 3-dwelling unit apartment house of type 3B ordinary construction, seeking relief for the existing unfinished basement ceiling and enclosed basement stairs located at 814 Bridge Street, City of Schenectady, County of Schenectady, State of New York. Relief is requested from Chapter 61B of the Consolidated Laws of New York, Multiple Residence Law, Article 3, Section 30, cellar ceilings, which states that in every such dwelling 3 stories or more in height, of the cellar, or at the lowest story at the lowest story, if there be no cellar, shall be fire retarded or be equipped with a sprinkler system unless such ceiling has already been plastered to the satisfaction of the department. The petitioner requests relief from the unfinished basement ceiling that is not plastered or have gypsum board attached to the underside of the floor joist. Chapter 61B of the Consolidated Laws of New York, Multiple Residence Law, Article 3, Section 31, inside cellar stairs. Every stair leading from the cellar to the main floor in all old multiple dwellings shall be enclosed with fire retardant partitions and shall be equipped with a fire retardant self-closing door located as the department may approve. The petitioner requests relief to allow basement stair which is not enclosed but has a self-closing fire-rated door at the top of the stairs. In the finding of facts, 1, the building that is subject to the petition is located at 814 Bridge Street, City of Schenectady, County of Schenectady, New York State. 2, the building that is subject to this petition is properly classified under Chapter 61B of the Consolidated Laws of New York, Multiple Residence Law, Article 1, Section 4, as a multiple dwelling. 3, subject building is required to conform with the provisions of Article 3 of the Multiple Residence Law as provided in Section 25 in that it existed on July 1st, 1952, or was converted to a multiple residence after July 1st, 1952, and is not a hotel or similar dwelling subject to Article 4 of the Multiple Residence Law. 4, the subject building is approximately 4,740 square feet in gross area, was originally constructed around 1909 and contains 3 dwelling units located as follows: an apartment on each floor. 5, the petition states a narrative that all dwelling units' entry doors are to be replaced by self-closing rated doors, that walls are plaster coated and rated to 1 hour at all common areas and the multiple code compliant means of egress. The stair leading from the basement are open. However, there is a rated self-closing door at the top of each stairway. Finished ceilings are present throughout the egress corridors and above stairways. 6, petitioner states that 10-year battery operated smoke and carbon monoxide smoke alarm detector alarms that will be interconnected will be installed in the basement. Petitioner states that there are multiple number 7, the petitioner states there are multiple code compliant means of egress as defined by New York State Multiple Residence Law. 8, petitioner states that the basement is unoccupied and void of any non-heating and water heating equipment. No storage or laundry is present. 9, the petitioner states that installing the fire-rated gypsum board or plastering the basement ceiling would prove to be physically impracticable as the existing plumbing, pipes, heating piping, electrical wiring, and other mechanical equipment present, multiple impediments, would impose substantial difficulties with the installation. 10, the petitioner states that hardwired emergency exit lights and emergency lighting is located throughout the common hall and stairways. 11, the petitioner states that the existing smoke and carbon monoxide alarms throughout interior spaces, the detector are 10-year lithium battery operated devices that are wireless interconnected devices. 12, petitioner states that the battery operated smoke and carbon monoxide detectors will be swapped out for UL listed interconnected 10-year lithium battery combination smoke and CO detection devices throughout the building. 13, that the property owner shall hire a third-party independent code certified inspection agency to test the alarm system annually at a minimum, and shall submit inspection results to the City of Schenectady Building Department. Inspection reports shall also be left on site and be readily available for inspection. 14, the local code enforcement official has been consulted in this matter and does support the granting of this variance under Part 1205. 15, the building shall otherwise comply with all other local and state building codes and ordinances.
You make the motion.
Yes.
Like,
Okay. And so, okay.
We did.
Yep. The proposed variance will not in the conclusion of law, the proposed variance will not substantially adversely affect the code's provisions for health, safety, and security. Strict compliance with the provisions of the Uniform Fire Prevention Building Code would entail practical difficulties, economic hardship, or otherwise be unwarranted because such would be physically or legally impractical and would be unnecessary in light of the alternatives which, without a loss in level of safety, achieve the intended objective of this code. The board, I would like to make the following motion relative to seeker, that the Board of Review find and determine that the issuance of a variance petition 2025-0139 will not have a significant environmental impact and will not have a significant adverse effect on any significant fish, wildlife habitats, scenic resource of statewide significance, important agricultural land or area included in an approved local waterfront revitalization program, and that the Department of State be authorized to sign and deliver on behalf of the Board of Review and the Department of State, the State Environmental Quality Review Act short environmental assessment form indicating that no or small impact may occur in response to each question in Part 2 of the form and determining in Part 3 of the form that the proposed action will not result in any significant adverse environmental impacts. So I move on the seeker.
Do we have a second? Okay, very good. Poll the board. Mr. Parsons?
Aye.
Ms. Swistak?
aye.
Mr. Garlock?
Aye.
Chairman votes aye. Let the record show 4 ayes, no nays on the seeker motion.
Therefore, in the continuance of my motion, determination, wherefore it is determined that the application for the variance of Chapter 61B of the Consolidated Laws of New York, Multiple Residence Law, Article 3, Sections 30 and 31, be and is hereby granted in the following conditions. 1, that the interconnected smoke and carbon monoxide alarms shall be provided and located throughout the building as one system as required by current code. 2, that all the smoke detector devices shall be interconnected together as one system and be in conformance with NFPA 72. 3, that the property owner shall hire a third-party independent code certified inspection agency to test the alarm system annually at a minimum and shall submit inspection reports to the City of Schenectady Building Department. Inspection reports shall also be left on site and be readily available for inspection. 4, the door leading to the basement shall be fire rated, self-closing, located as directed by the fire marshal. 5, tenant storage or laundry services or laundry equipment shall not be allowed in the unfinished basement area. This decision is limited to the specific building and application before it as contained within the petition and should not be interpreted to give implied approval of any general plans or specifications presented in support of this application, and I so move.
I second.
Okay, poll the board. Mr. Parsons?
Aye.
Ms. Swistak?
Aye.
Mr. Garlock?
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Let the record show 4 ayes, no nays. Any questions?
I'm good, folks. Thank you. Have a
Thank
great
you,
day.
Mr. Morelli. Have a good day.
In this decision.
Oh, Tom just said that as part of his motion, I believe.
Yep.
Yep, so this hearing is now concluded then. We will now hear petition number 2025 0338.
I need seconds to make a file.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Hello.
Okay, this petition pertains to an existing building containing 4 apartments of an R2 occupancy, 2 stories with a finished attic, 3 stories in height of type 5B wood frame unprotected construction that's located at 613 to 615 Kirkland Street, City of Utica, County of Oneida, State of New York. You're requesting relief from 61B of the Consolidated Laws in New York, Multiple Residence Law, Article 3, Section 30, cellar ceilings, which states that in every such dwelling 3 stories or more in height, the ceiling of the cellar or the lowest story, if there be no cellar, shall be fire retarded or be equipped with a sprinkler system unless such ceiling has already been plastered to the satisfaction of the department. The petitioner is requesting relief from the required plastering of the basement ceiling by providing additional smoke detection and notification throughout the building and the common areas. We have a representative of the applicant.
Yes, that's me, Megan Hayes. I'm the owner of the property. My address is, the mailing address for the company is 178 Main Street, Whitesboro, New York, 13492.
Very good. Would you tell us about your property?
Hi, yes. So I have a 3-story, 4-unit apartment building in Utica, New York. I am in a violation for my cellar ceiling that states that I need the fire retardant cellar ceiling, and I am seeking a variance from that. I currently have, where are they? I have 23 smoke detectors that are hardwired and interconnected throughout the building. I did give Tom a layout of my building. I have 3 detectors in apartment 1. I have 4 detectors in apartment 2 and 1 in that hallway. In apartment 3, I have 4 smoke detectors. In the common hallway, I have 4 detectors. All of the apartments do have carbon monoxide detectors that are installed. And there is also carbon in the basement and in the 3rd floor. In leading to the basement, there is a fire rated metal door with a self-closing hinge on that door. In my basement, I did send photos. It's a crucial access point for any maintenance that needs to be done. All my ductwork, pipes, gas, water, heating system is all exposed throughout. So that is why I am seeking the variance for the fire retardant ceiling.
Looking at your photos, we do see that there appears to be storage in the basement, some shelving. Could you explain what's stored there?
Yes, my tenants do not have access to the basement. It's just for me. Anything down there belongs to me. I have extra paint cans down there. I do have some cleaning supplies down there. I do have materials down there like light switch covers, extra light bulbs, screws, nails. Nothing hazardous is down there, and only I have access. I do not have laundry or anything down there. Like I did state, tenants are not allowed access to the basement. And to access the basement, it's from an outside door. It's not in the apartment building. There's one door on the outside leading directly down to the basement.
Explain your interconnected system. So you have 23 devices. Is it monitored? Does it have a control panel? Are these just conventional systems that are interconnected?
They're hardwired. So when one goes off, they're all going to go off. I check them. I check them twice a year. Every 6 months I go and I make sure everything is working properly. And I've never had a problem with them whatsoever. Everything is functionable and new. They're not old. And they are the 10-year lithium battery hardwired. They are also something else as well. I don't want to misspeak, but I believe it's not just smoke and fire. I believe there's a heat sensor on them as well.
Okay.
I did add a fire extinguisher to the common hallways. There is 2. So each one of those does have a smoke detector that I did add. I'm sorry, a fire extinguisher that I add. They already had the detectors.
Anyone from the city on? I do not see prior representative.
What was that?
I was asking if anybody representing the city was on, and if they support the granting of this variance.
I don't see anybody on. In my violation, it does state that I can apply for the variance, and they have been very supportive and helpful in my application process as well.
So we're going to continue, like I said to the last applicant and to the board, it's been our matter of business to make sure that tenant storage and laundry services and equipment are not allowed in the basement. That's going to be a condition. It seems you're complying with that already, but that will be a condition that we likely apply. You're okay with that?
Absolutely.
We also require, it's been our practice to require third-party independent code certified inspections on the fire system annually, and that inspection report will be submitted to the city of Utica. And that you'll also keep copies of those inspection reports on site. You understand that?
Yes. Is this like a company I hire that simply will be that inspects these systems
Yes.
that I installed?
It'll be that they're going to review and approve your system, that it's functioning as designed. If there are deficiencies, they'll identify them, but they're a third party, so you can't do the inspection. It's got to be a company, alarm company that's going to look at it, and they're going to say the system is performing in accordance with the code. They're going to make a written report, which you will be able to give to the city of Utica and have a copy on site should it be requested.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Any questions further?
Yeah, the code does not permit 23 interconnected smoke detectors.
Okay.
It only allows 12 smoke alarms be interconnected, but up to a total of 18 devices if they're like carbon monoxide devices. So if all 23 smoke detectors are interconnected, so one rings all 22 ring, this is not compliant with the code.
Okay, so I need to have, did you say less than 18? Minimum of 12?
No, the maximum number of smoke alarms, individual smoke alarms is 12. You can add another 6 devices, which can include carbon monoxide alarms. So the total number is 18. Typically in the installations that we see is they put heat or smoke alarms in the basement interconnected with smoke alarms on each floor, common hallway. And then they put one interconnected smoke alarm in each apartment. Then the apartments have interconnected smoke alarms in and of themselves that are not tied to the rest of the building. Independent. So that's the way that, since you installed it, I think you weren't aware of the limitations. But an alarm company would identify that, so you should be aware of that limitation. You can also put a fire alarm panel that supervises all the devices, but that's a different pathway. So you need to work with a fire alarm company that can tell you the requirements of the code and make sure you have a legally and compliant installed system.
Absolutely.
Do we need a moment? Any other questions, comments? Do we need a moment to deliberate to work through how we want to word that? Or do we think it's clear to the applicant? The way that is this sufficient?
I think in the previous one, there was language about or finding,
We can take
effects.
Mr. Parson, I think what you might want to add is that the alarm system's installed per NFPA 72, which was on the last one.
Yes. On this one. Yeah, just add that to those number 3.
Okay, then
I would just say fire and smoke detection system.
If there are no further questions from the board and we don't see the need to deliberate, then to be consistent, we will make the seeker motion within after conclusion of law. This will propose, but do we have a board member that wants, I'll just read it.
Do
I can read it, it's fine. Yep.
Okay.
So I'd like to make the following motion then upon the application of Megan Hayes of TJM Realty of Utica LLC, 178 Main Street, Whitesboro, New York, on taking testimony, hearing argument thereon at a duly noticed hearing for the Syracuse Regional Board of Review held via video conference call, WebEx, at the Hughes State Office Building, 333 East Washington Street, first floor, main hearing room, Syracuse, New York, 13202 on July 17th, 2025. And upon all other papers in this matter, the board makes the following determination. The nature of the grievance is the petition pertains to an existing building containing 4 apartments with an R2 occupancy, 2 stories with a finished attic, 3 stories in height, of type 5B wood frame, unprotected construction, located at 613 through 615 Kirkland Street, City of Utica, County of Oneida, State of New York. Relief is requested from Chapter 61B of the Consolidated Laws of New York, Multiple Residence Law, Article 3, Section 30, cellar ceilings, which states that in every such dwelling 3 stories or more in height, the ceiling of the cellar or the lowest story, if there be no cellar, shall be fire retarded or be equipped with a sprinkler system unless such ceiling has already been plastered to the satisfaction of the department. The petitioner requests relief from the requiring plastering of the basement ceiling by providing additional smoke detection and notification throughout the building and common areas. Board makes the following findings of fact. 1, the building that is the subject of this petition is properly classified under Chapter 61B of the Consolidated Laws of New York, Multiple Residence Law, Article 1, Section 433, as a multiple dwelling. 2, the subject building is approximately 2,598 square feet in gross area, was originally constructed around 1900, and contains 4 dwelling units, 2 on the first and second floor, with 1 second floor dwelling unit on both the second floor and attic. 3, the subject building is required to conform to the provisions of Article 3 of Multiple Residence Law as provided in Section 25, in that it existed on July 1st, 1952, or was converted to a multiple dwelling after July 1st, 1952, and is not a hotel or similar dwelling subject to Article 4 of the Multiple Residence Law. 4, Article 3, Section 30 of the Multiple Residence Law requires in every such dwelling 3 stories or more in height, that the ceiling of the cellar or the lowest story, if there be no cellar, shall be fire retarded, be equipped with a sprinkler system unless such ceiling has already been plastered to the satisfaction of the department. 5, the lowest story cellar ceiling of this multiple family dwelling is not enclosed with fire retardant material and does not contain a sprinkler system. A fire in the cellar could easily spread throughout the building before it is noticed. There is a mechanical system piping and electrical wiring along the ceiling of this unoccupied cellar that would make installing a fire retardant ceiling very difficult. 6, the petitioner states that the basement currently contains all essential utility lines, including gas, water, plumbing, and heating systems, which are fully exposed. These components are crucial access points requiring regular access for maintenance and emergency repairs. Covering them with a fire retardant ceiling would make access extremely difficult and costly, potentially compromising safety and function in the building. 7, the petitioner stated in Exhibit A, photographs have been submitted and illustrate the existing conditions of the basement ceiling and locations that conflicts with mechanical equipment, plumbing, and wiring, and require gypsum board installation. 8, the petitioner requests relief from installing gypsum board at this basement ceiling. 9, the petitioner has stated that the building currently has 23 smoke detectors that are hardwired interconnected, along with 6 carbon monoxide detectors. The narrative notes their locations. 10, the petitioner states that there is 1 exit from the basement and the basement cannot be accessed from inside the building. There's an exterior door on the house leading directly to the basement and is the only way in and out. 11, the local code official has been consulted in this matter and supports the granting of a variance under Part 1205. And 12, the building shall otherwise comply with all local and state building codes and local ordinances. Our conclusion of law is that the proposed variance will not substantially adversely affect the code's provisions for health, safety, and security. The strict compliance with the provisions of the Uniform Fire Prevention Building Code and the Multiple Residence Law would entail practical difficulties, economic hardship, would otherwise be unwarranted because such would create an excessive and unreasonable economic burden, or would be physically or legally impractical and would be unnecessary in light of alternatives which, without a loss in the level of safety, achieve the intended objective of the code. Of course, I closed. And borrow Ms. Swistak's laptop. I'd like to make this seeker motion in the midst of the other motion, that the Board of Review find and determine that the issuance of a variance in petition 2025-338 will not have a significant environmental impact and will not have a significant adverse effect on any significant fish, wildlife habitat, scenic resource, or statewide significance, important agricultural land, or area included in an approved local waterfront revitalization program. And two, that the Department of State be authorized to sign and deliver on behalf of the Board of Review and the Department of State, the State Environmental Quality Review Act short environmental assessment form, indicating that no or small impact may occur in response to each question in Part 2 of the form, and determining in Part 3 of the form that the proposed action will not result in any significant adverse environmental impacts. Do we have a second for the seeker motion? Okay, pull the board. Mr. Parsons?
Aye.
Ms. Swistak?
Aye.
Mr. Garlock? Chair votes aye. Let the record show 4 ayes, no nays for the seeker. And so now we'll make the final determination where it is determined that the application for a variance from Chapter 61B of the Consolidated Laws of New York, Multiple Residence Law, Article 3, Section 30B, and is hereby to be granted with the following conditions. 1, that the property owner shall hire a third-party independent code-certified inspection agency to test the alarm system annually at a minimum, and shall submit inspection results to the City of Utica Building Department. Inspection reports shall also be left on site and be readily available for inspection. 2, the tenant's storage or laundry services or equipment shall not be allowed in the unfinished basement area. And 3, that the fire and smoke detection system shall be installed in accordance with NFPA 72. I so move. Do we have a second?
I second.
Okay, we'll pull the board. Mr. Parsons?
Aye.
Ms. Swistak?
Aye.
Mr. Garlock? Chair votes aye. Let the record show 4 ayes, no nays. Should be noted, this decision is limited to the specific building and application before it, as contained within the petition, should not be interpreted to give implied approval of any general plans or specification presented in support of this hearing, of this application. Chairman Jeffrey Hinderleiter, members C. Towns Parsons, Andrew Garlock, and Gail Swistak all concur. So ordered. That concludes this hearing. Any questions?
No, thank you so much.
Yep. Thank you for your patience. And that concludes the business before the board.
Thank you. Have a great day.
We can go off the record.
Sir.